Hello, everyone. Welcome to Scott Reviews Things in 4.5 minutes. Right now, we're going back to comics. We're going to start with some horror comics. Jason versus Leatherface, a 3-issue series back from 1995. And so let's jump right in. First, as we jump right in, as we look at the covers, Jason is jacked. But this is not the Jason that you find in the comic book. And one thing about the covers, you see Jason and Leatherface on the cover number 1, but it's just Jason on the covers 2 and 3. If you have a comic book with Leatherface versus Jason or Jason versus Leatherface, you want to see Jason and Leatherface on the covers of all of them, in my opinion. So, a couple of things. First of all, this comic is weird with the timeline, and I know Friday the 13th is not known for keeping with the timeline, because the comic starts off with Jason chained to a rock under the water, and that is the end of part 6. So, but the look of Jason is from part 9. Jason Goes to Hell, where his bulbous head the mask has just fused itself to its face. So it starts after one Friday the 13th movie, but the look is another Friday the 13th movie. And then when you get to the Leatherface family, the cannibal family, the hitchhiker is still alive, and he died back in 1974. So the timeline is all over the place. So that's one thing. I don't know, like I said, most of these movies don't adhere to the timeline anyway. That's one thing. 2, they mess with the Jason character, okay? It's one thing about trying something new, but there's one thing messing with an established character. Characters don't change that greatly, especially Jason. In this movie, Jason has an inner monologue where he's talking about, he's thinking about stuff, his old life. And, why isn't he killing? Because he befriends Leatherface, and he befriends the cannibalistic family, which is something Jason would never do. Jason just kills everybody. He befriends them, and he's going through his mind. Why am I doing this? They're putting us, they're letting the wheels turn in Jason's head, when all we know is that Jason is just a killing machine. So he should be in there killing. And speaking of killing, in this comic book, in this trilogy, there is very, very little killing. When you have Jason and Leatherface in 3 comics, you want that splatter should be going against the wall, left and right. Hardly any killing. And like I said, they focus on the connection between Leatherface and Jason. Jason sort of becomes like a big brother, and he already has 2 brothers, but Jason becomes like a guardian to Leatherface, because the other 2 brothers are beating up on Leatherface, and Jason becomes his savior, and the other 2 don't like that, and then they tell Leatherface to kill him, and finally, in the 3rd act of the comic, Leatherface finally takes up his chainsaw and goes after Jason. And it's a very, very lackluster fight. So we've gone through 3 comics. We want to see Jason versus Leatherface, and we get very little of it. And you know who takes down Jason? The hitchhiker. It's not even Leatherface that takes Jason down, or the other way. You want to see, I know you can't really, there's both these horror icons. You can't kill either of them, but at least have them, take him out, knock him out, one or the other. The hitchhiker sneaks up behind Jason and hits him with a hammer, for crying out loud. And then they, and then once again, they mess with it. What do the cannibals do when they get a body? They smoke it, and they barbecue it, and they eat it, but they don't do that here. What they do is they take Jason to the lake and put him in the lake, jumps into the lake, they tie him to a brick, whatever, a cinder block. They dump him in the lake. The water revives him, and then he walks. They want to let us know that he walks from Texas back to New Jersey, where Camp Crystal Lake is. They want us to believe all that. This is a very, very lackluster comic, people. Not